Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Ali ZAINUL ABIDIN bin KAMARUDIN. So today our group will present about Lab 2 Master Cylinder Inspection, Removal and Refitting for subject Vehicle Brake System BMMA 3503. Okay. This is our group member. First, Muhammad NAIM HAZIQ bin SOULIHEN, HERLIE JOLISON, ARIF DANIAL bin FAIZAL EFFENDY, MANOJ KUMAR, anak lelaki KRISHNAN. Okay, this slide and presentation is prepared for Professor Madya Dr. Muhammad Zahir bin Hassan. Okay, this is an overview of the table of content. First one is overview reading of introduction and equipment. Second, features of the topic, the synopsis and the theory. And third one is work process on how the process flow, procedure and parts, condition and experiment, and finally discussion, include of question and conclusion. Okay, we go through to the first section. Okay, first of all, for the introduction for this lab is to inspect the condition of master cylinder assembly. Okay, secondly, to replace parts of master cylinder assembly, and the last one is to name all parts of master cylinder assembly. So for this lab, we generally know the master cylinder. We do the inspection, we know the parts, and we replace the parts back. Okay, next we pass to our next member.
So for section 2, synopsis and theory. So as we know in automotive, the master cylinder is the control. The master cylinder is a control device that converts non-hydraulic pressure. It's commonly from a driver's foot into hydraulic pressure. So this device controls slave cylinder located at the other end of the hydraulic system. So as piston moves along the bore of the master cylinder, this movement is transferred through the hydraulic fluid to result in a movement of the slave cylinders. So the hydraulic pressure created by moving a piston inside the bore of the master cylinder toward the slave cylinder compresses the fluid evenly. But by varying the comparative surface area, the master cylinder or each slave cylinder, one can vary the amount of force and displacement applied to each slave relative to the amount of force and displacement applied to the master cylinder. So the main is the brake booster, and then a reservoir above each master cylinder supplies the master cylinder with enough brake fluid to avoid air from entering the master cylinder. So some master cylinder have a built-in level and fluid level sensor in the reserve. The sensor turns on a warning light in the instrument panel when brake fluid is low. That's all for the theory and the synopsis, some of the synopsis.
Okay, hi sir, my name is Manoj and I'll explain regarding the procedure on how to remove and inspect and also refit the master cylinder. Okay, so let's start. Before we start the experiment, make sure we have all the personal protective equipment and for safety. Okay, first of all, is to dismantle the primary and secondary brake fluid supply pipe on the master cylinder. Next is to dismantle master cylinder housing bracket, which is a nut of 12 mm with a spanner size 12 mm, and finally you can remove the master cylinder from the servo pump. Next, and after removing the master cylinder, make sure we observe the master cylinder so that we can find out any minor or major defects on the components. Next. Okay, and then additionally, we can remove the primary and the secondary piston and observe the defects on the piston, the inner surface of master cylinder, and also if there are any defects on the seal and rubber components. So if there's any defects, we can change it, or if it's in good condition, we can just reuse it and fix back all the components into their master cylinder. Next. Okay, now the refitting procedure is almost the same, and just do it the same way as we open the master cylinder. First, we fix back the master cylinder to the servo pump and tighten the housing screw. Next, and then we just tighten back the primary and secondary brake fluid supply on the master cylinder, and that's all for us. Thank you.
Hello, my name is JOLISON and today I will present about master cylinder parts. There are 14 parts for overall for the master cylinder. First, reservoir cups component. As second, reservoir cap. Number 3 is diaphragm. Number 4 is brake fluid reservoir filter. Number 5 is float brake fluid reservoir. Number 6 is brake fluid level indicator switch. Number 7 is brake master cylinder pin. Number 8, brake fluid reservoir. Number 9, brake master cylinder to reservoir seal. Number 10, brake master cylinder pin. Number 11 is piston retainer. Number 12, primary piston assembly. Number 13, secondary piston assembly. 14 is master cylinder body. Okay, that's all for me.
So next for my part, for the condition and experiment result. For this part, as you can see, there are few part name of the brake component. The first one is inner surface of master cylinder, which is as we got from the experiment in rusty condition, as you can see the picture beside. Next is the primary and secondary piston, which is in good condition. The program in good condition. Brake booster overall in good condition, but inner surface was rusty, and lastly O-ring also in good condition.
First question is, based on your finding, what is the effect of push rod and length to brake performance? Answer: push rod function is to apply force through the piston retainer. The push rod length standard value is 9.65 to 990 mm. When the length of push rod is not in range between the clearance of in push rod and piston retainer, causes the force that will be applied delay, and other effect is causes the push rod will always touching the piston retainer when the pedal brake has been released. This will lead worse brake performance. Next. Question number 2. Name type of brake oil used for your car. Can different type of brake oil be used? Why? So the answer is, type of brake oil used for this lab is DO3. The different type of brake oil cannot be used in vehicle because brake oil have different properties and need to follow the recommended from the vehicle manufacturers. Besides that, other brake fluids cannot be mixed together with another types of brake fluid. This will damage the brake system if added other brake fluids. Next. Question number 3. Name hydraulic tubes that connected to master cylinder and where all tubes are connected. Answer: hydraulic tube connected to master cylinder, front brake lines and rear brake lines. All tubes for front brake lines and rear brake lines will connected to the pressure differential valve that will separate the pressure that apply to front brake line and rear brake line to stop the vehicle when pedal brake has been pressed. Next. Last question. Number 4. What is the function of diaphragm? The diaphragm is to keep moisture out. The diaphragm will flexes and stretches to accommodate the fluid level changings, preventing unwanted moisture from entering. That's all.
Okay, from as a conclusion from this lab, firstly we able to inspect the condition of master cylinder assembly. Okay, secondly get to know on how to replace part of master cylinder assembly, and last able to name all parts of master cylinder assembly. Okay, as a conclusion, this lab is very important because we get to know on how the master cylinder works and how to inspect the condition of the master assembly, because the master assembly is the very important thing, very core parts in the braking system. If the failure on the master cylinder, it will affect the braking system. So on this lab we know how to inspect and how to replace part of master assembly and know all the parts. Okay, that's all from us. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.